नमस्ते। सो हम लोग फॉर्म, फॉर्मलेस, इन्फिनिट, फाइनाइट और नॉलेज, इग्नोरेंस, ये कई टर्म्स हैं जो दे these terms evoke a different meaning in our heads. This is one of the problems with spiritual teaching. It takes time to understand all our knowledge is yet an ignorance. Because knowledge in the true sense, vidya, is that which takes into account the oneness of things, is aware of the oneness. And avidya is that which deals with things as if they existed separately in their own right. Prathakatva. Ekatva or prathakatva. So we can take another example. These are all examples, but they help us to illustrate. Just now I was watching, there's a problem with the mic, so it went to the next level. What is that? That is the amplifier. Now, what is the common element between this and that? This is electricity which is coming through, right? Now, this is the way we would understand. Now, where all is electricity there? So we'll see that it is there in the clouds. That's how it was discovered. The two clouds, they came together, there was electricity, and I forget the name of the scientist. There is electricity. But did the electricity manifest? It manifested through the clouds, but it existed as a principle. That is what some physicists understood, that it is not just about clouds. It exists as a principle. Where all it exists? It exists in matter. It exists in atoms. Where all does electricity exist? It exists in the brain. Now you see the connection. Now electricity exists as a principle in matter. The same electricity, it climbs in the brain and gives us an insight that this electricity in matter can be tapped. And then we have devices which are like forms which can tap the electricity. And then devices which can further amplify that electricity. Devices that can use this electricity to charge our mics, our batteries and everything. So electricity now, how did Indian science see this? Now our modern science is going in that direction. But it has to take one big leap. It has not yet taken. They went back to the original principle. Where is the electricity in its principle existing? So they went on to see this is also electricity, that is also electricity. It's basically electricity, it takes different forms. So formless and form. So the principle of electricity, where is that principle of electricity? So they talk about the fire as an element. Agni Tattva. It contains that as particles. And then they spoke about Agni not just as physical fire, obviously not, but as a principle that exists within creation, within nature. So within nature, it exists as a possibility, therefore it manifests in matter, as well as it can manifest in the brain, it can manifest in the skies, it can manifest in many ways, different ways. Even human beings, by the way, they radiate electricity. That's how we can map the EEG, we can do the ECG, because there are electrical currents all the time generating. It's a whole science. So where did these electrical charges enter into time and space? So Sankhya speaks about Prakriti, means they talked about Pradhan, the primal, ultimate substance, Pradhan, from which, like little jets, these charges enter into creation. It's a very interesting science. Where does this come from? This comes, they go back to that ultimately the divine being, the Purusha, from which it enters into creation, and from there it goes down further and further. Now when we begin to understand that all this is electricity is ultimately from one source. So, we'll say philosophically very nice, but what are its practical implications? Practical implication is, if my brain generates electricity, electricity is such a powerful principle in creation. Can I augment this electricity within the brain just as I am doing it in the amplifier? So the Indian yoga answers, yes, you can do it. Why? Draw more of this original energy. Open to it. How? So there is the way of the Kundalini, where you draw more and more, and that is the practice of Brahmacharya also, where the energy which is flowing out as Ritas changes into Tejas, heat. This to be experienced. Contain the sexual energy, it changes into heat. Literally, we use the word on heat. And then if you further contain it, it changes into Vidvat, Ojas. That increases the power of the brain, Ojas, Vidvat. And then finally, Viryas. It gives us the spiritual strength. So they had mapped it out so beautifully. So what happens when you augment the electricity of the brain? Of course, your brain has to be strong, otherwise it may burst. Otherwise, so much more it can contain, so much of, it's like augmenting a computer. That's why people like Aurobindo own life, what a tremendous memory. We have heard so about Swami Vivekananda, one example from the life of Aurobindo. And this is in Baroda, when they were, some of the friends, they were playing cards and Aurobindo was reading a book. Within half an hour, he finished reading the book and kept it aside. So one of the friends asked him, "What? You have read it?" So he said, "Yes." "Acha, let me test." So he took the book. He said, "Open any page." He opened a page at random. And he said, "Okay, this is the page I have opened." Sri Aurobindo told him entirely the entire page. He had finished reading the book in half an hour or 1 hour. So there are possibilities within the human beings which we have not tapped, because that electricity is everywhere. It is not only in atoms. It is there within us. It builds up the thought. And there is a whole way of looking at, divine in terms of these primal elements as Nad. Go to the origin of sound. Go to the origin of light. Go to the origin of everything. You will reach the divine. At least at his portals. Divine will always be beyond, but you will reach his portals from where you can make a grand entry. So this was a whole science, and it was so powerful. Based on sound, now we have reached that point in science where we say sound has a power. So ultrasound is not only for diagnostic. With the sound we can break the stones. With laser we can break. It's simply a question of concentrating a principle. So there is so much to be discovered if we understand. So Indian yoga is not about this otherworldliness and बैठ के ध्यान कर लिया जी, very nice, we read something nice. It is an actual practice to augment all that we are. Why? Because we are miniature divinities. So the entire divine, behind every finite there is the infinite. So our mind can open to infinite knowledge. Our heart can open to infinite love. What will be the consequences? If the mind opens to infinite knowledge, then intuitively one can know things. One doesn't have to go through that whole process of data analysis. If the heart opens to infinite love, what will happen? You won't go to somebody and say, "Please, थोड़ा सा प्यार, मतलब मैं तो बहुत दुखी हूँ, देखो मेरी जिंदगी." You will not shed tears. Why? Because you will give. You are not. You will never even. You will know the difference between what you are receiving and what a distorted human channel can give you. You know the difference. That what you are getting pure stuff. राजभोग खाने के बाद, वो भी स्वर्ग का बना हुआ, वो कौन सी मिठाई, गुड़ की मिठाई थोड़ी खाओगे आप. So that is the infinite love. Your life can open to infinite ocean of energy with which it can replenish itself. And one day the body itself can open to that infinite existence and know to renew itself without the necessity of dying, what we call as physical death. So these were practical implications of this knowledge. This knowledge was never meant to be only in the mind, theoretical. It was meant to be very practical, and we see instances in not one, many instances. On one side we have Ashwatthama sending the Brahmas, but he can't bring it back. That means there was a way to bring it back. Arjun brings it back. He has released an intense energy. And you can activate anything, and you can bring it back. Just imagine the power. And Vyas can stop it. Krishna can stop it, just like that. So this was the power that the Indian civilization, the ancient Hindus had developed. and which the invaders realized. So they wanted us to first develop they couldn't match up to that. So the only way is to pull the person down. You are a fallen person. ये सब लिखा है. Translation of Vedas by Max Muller. ये सब में what is great about it? And we were no more practicing. We had developed Panditya. All, do the Patha. Panditya. And feel very happy. अरे हमारे यहाँ वेद उपनिषद है. But they were meant to be lived. So we have term like knowledge, how the divine has built this world. Why it is important to know this? Consciousness force, the divine mother, means if you join with the divine mother, then nothing is impossible for you. She is the creatrix. Doesn't mean you'll do fanciful things. Okay, then I'll build this, build that. Some asuras tried to do even that. This is the story of one of the asura, Jalandhar, who built a whole Shiva's abode-like place in which he wanted to trap Parvati, Ma. Absolutely look-alike. So it's not that, if you do that, then you'll collapse, because the moment you try misusing that power, which is not anybody's, you can become its slave, an instrument and channel, but you can't own that power. So, but to one who opens to the Divine Mother, and because she is everywhere at every level, it's not just Divine Mother is doing some spiritual thing. Somebody asked Mother, what can we expect from you? She said everything. What do you expect from us? Nothing. Naturally, she is the builder. What can you give it to her? All this idea of giving, offering is to open ourselves. So, everything. So she has made it very clear. Everything, from the most material to the highest spiritual, she has the key. Why? Because she is the one who has made it. So this is the power of consciousness force. In knowledge, as well as in ignorance, she is operating. Because ignorance is only her own veiling of herself for the sake of the play. And why it is there, as we have seen yesterday, and I'll use another example today. What is a seed? You can say a seed is a tree involved within the seed. It's correct, huh? Right. So it becomes a seed and it forgets the tree. But it is always there. The one who has planted the tree, and if tree could say, it will say, मेरा ही अंश है इसके अंदर. But the seed forgets. Why it forgets will come in a moment. It enters into darkness. There it is lying, all forgetful of itself. But something is working within and outside. Within, the seedness of the seed is trying to do like a chick inside the egg. And outside, because it's oneness, nature is doing everything that it can do to make it burst. The outer shell is rotting, the sunlight is coming, drawing it, giving it ushma. Water is coming, soil, winds, everything, and one day this little seed bursts. It doesn't know what it is still. Mechanically it journeys, but it's not mechanical, it is driven by the entire forces of nature. It is drawn by the sun, it doesn't know the sun. Like a baby in the womb doesn't know the mother, yet it is nourished by the mother. And then the baby comes out, or the seed bursts forth, then at least it has a glimpse. Okay, that's it, which was drawing me. Baby is born, you say, Ma. This happens, no? That child, Ma. He has no words, no instrument of expression. He can't say that, oh, you were the one who were nourishing me inside. All that philosophy it doesn't know. How does it express itself? Clings to the mother. When he needs food, cries to the mother. Connects with her. Her touch soothes the baby. So this is how it grows. Then the baby grows a little more further and then is sent away. But mother always remembers. That's what I have told last time. So this seed coming, the tree entering the seed state, entering into a seed, forgetting itself completely when the seed drops, is involution. And when it comes out, there is evolution. So what happens in the process of evolution? One tree becomes many trees. It becomes a garden. Eko ham bahushyam. So each of us carry within us a seed divine, covered with ignorance and knowledge. First journey is in ignorance. When we don't know there is mother, we are just living our own life. With mother, we think only of physical mother. She is the symbol. Again, you see, she is the symbol. That's why you will see in a physical mother almost most of the attributes of the Divine Mother. Why? She is a symbol. She will give her own life for the sake of saving the child's life. She will sacrifice. She will do seva. She will care, everything, because that's how the Divine Mother. Father, symbol, symbol of Purusha. हाँ बच्चे, ठीक है? Okay. पापा पैसों की जरूरत है. Okay, okay, okay. ले तू. Purusha, not that. They also have. There is oneness. Okay? If mother is not there, fathers will bring out their maternal aspect. The mother is always inside them. But why? Because there is a physical mother there, they are reassured. So please, I am not trying to say I am myself a father. But they are reassured. The mother is there. She is taking care. But if necessary, they can bring out. Why? Because of that perfect. Even mother is doing everything because she knows he is there. If there is a problem, he is there. So this is the relation between Purusha and Prakriti, Ishvara and Shakti. And these are the two stages of our evolution. Ignorance, when we don't know. Knowledge, when there is a transition, when we begin to glimpse, oh, that's the sun drawing us. Oh, this is so nice. I feel so good. I am drawn towards it. And when we develop into a tree, when we know this is the sun, which is nourishing me and will create another 1,000 seeds out of me. So that is why the Gita says so beautifully, first stage of evolution is when we call the divine Arth or Artharthi. We are not very sure, but chalo, सब जगह एप्लीकेशन वी आर गिविंग. लेट्स ट्राई हियर. आज मंगलवार है, बालाजी का वार है, जिसने टेर लगा दी उसका बेड़ा पार है. तो वी आर कनेक्टिंग लाइक दैट. अर्थार्थी. देन देयर इज आर्थ. वी डोंट नो. वीक डिस्ट्रेस. गज ग्राह की युद्ध में. एंड द डिवाइन रिस्पॉन्ड बिकॉज ही इज देयर एवरीवेयर इन एवरीथिंग. फंडामेंटल ट्रूथ. सो ही रिस्पॉन्ड्स इन वॉट एवर फॉर्म यू कॉल हिम. Call him as Vishnu, Shiva, Christ, Krishna, doesn't matter. All forms are his forms. But then comes the Jigyasu. Who is responding to my call? Who is responding to my cry? And then comes the Jnani. And they are all bhaktas. Jnani is also a bhakta of the Lord. Why? Because when he is here, even when he becomes Soham Asmi, he knows when I am here, I must be Bhakta of the Lord. Hanuman and Ram, Shiva and Ram, they are not two. They are one. Hari and Har. But when he takes an earthly body, Ram does to Shiva, Hey Sachidanand Brahma. And Shiva does to Ram, Hey Sachidanand Brahma. And Garud is confused, and Kagbhushundi is confused, and everybody is confused. Sati is confused because she is representing Avidyamaya Maya. Hey, he is a man crying for his wife. You call him Sachidanand Brahm. He says, I know it right, but you are covered with illusion and ignorance and delusion. So she tests, we know that story. And she goes back and discovers that I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So this is what? The difference is Ram has realized that he is none else. But in the role that he is playing, he doesn't tell his father, I am Parbrahma Parmeshwar. Do you know that? He doesn't say. Even Krishna, except for Arjun and once in the Kurushabha, he never claims. He knows he has to veil himself. This is the work for which he has to do a certain work. He would go and touch the feet of Devaki Mata. He will not say, Rama will not say, मैं तो परमेश्वर हूँ, Mata Kaushalya, actually I should not be touching your feet. So this is how we can enter into the play very consciously. That's why this knowledge helps us. He himself is neither holder nor held, neither infinite nor finite, neither one nor many, neither formless nor formed, because he is one and single. So ultimately, any time he can withdraw from the entire play and enter into his Ekameva Dityam. Actually, that is self-existent. All the time it is existent. So every finite element can withdraw into that state of Ekameva Dvityam, one and single. This option is there. You want to be single, but then be really single. And then you are, but then there is a problem because ekaki na ramyate, Upanishad says. He wanted to become many because being alone is also a bit boring. That delight becomes very boring. So he enters into the play. It's a human word, but actually the Upanishad used the word. Why creation says ekaki na ramyate? You may find it very human. Alone. There is no fun, no joy in being alone. So he makes many. And many, and we are all that of him only. So we'll come to that also. All these are but names. That which is called oneness and that which is called multiplicity. So that's why we have Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam. Each is an aspect or attribute of Vishnu or Lalita, the great goddess. But basically, she is beyond all these names. She exists. These are names and forms into which she enters some aspect or other of it herself. That which is called infinite and that which is called finite. All these names shine out indeed in the world, whose very self is consciousness and which consists of consciousness alone. Existence is consciousness. That's why it is being. Consciousness implies existence, like the base on which she emerges and enters into this creation. Existence and consciousness are one. That's what Sri Aurobindo is saying. Ishvara and Shakti, Purusha and Prakriti, however far they may go, they are one. And see how all these names shine with his name. So we had a very nice thing in India. Earlier we used to take out the name keeping from Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam. Now obviously how many, 1,000 is 1,000 after all, no? Or 100 is 100. So now we want to keep names. But there is still in India a sense that the name must have a meaning. It must have a meaning, an attribute or a quality which relates to the divine ultimately. But in the West they never had it. So it's very difficult to ask them sometimes. Travis ka kya matlab hota hai? What does it mean? Even John, he'll say somebody was John, called John in. Okay, but what does John mean? Because the name and the nameless, through name, the mystery of the nameless, we know this, it is implicit, inbuilt within us. So we always want to keep a name with a meaning. It doesn't matter, this is inbuilt within us. Of course, some people nowadays, under the spell of all kinds of thought, they want to keep all kinds of random names somewhere, they've heard in a movie. But we like to keep a name with a meaning, because all these names are either attributes, qualities or aspects, and they point out to the one ultimately. So the principle was, why not? In everything we must express that reality. Of course, I've read Kaka Hatrasi, where he says, Naam bade aur darshan thode. Kaka koi rishta bada nikamma, Parvati Devi hai Shiv Shankar ki amma. Now that is true. That people have done absurd things also with the name. And if you go down south, even Ravan, they are actually names. Ravan, Stalin, किसका वो एक असुर था प्रॉपर. रावण नाम सब नहीं रखते हैं. Most of the people, I tell you, in Tamil Nadu, don't have the misconception. They are really very, very beautiful. They have kept the Hindu culture alive. It's just those handful of rowdies, that's all. They keep the name Ravan. So even Ravan has a meaning. Who shouts loudly because he cried like that. So he was called Ravan. So names have a meaning and we should be careful what we are naming. So all names, anyways, of everything. In Sanskrit, you pick up anything and you go into the depths of the meaning, you will discover it's an aspect or attribute of the divine. So all names. But who is the self? Self is always the one who is one with consciousness force. That's why we can pick up any stone, worship it and discover the divine. That is the logic. Om. The triple Brahman. Why it's qualified? Om, Tat Sat. We see this mantra is given in the Gita. Shri Krishna speaks of offering as Om Tat Sat. That is there. So Om, the triple Brahman, the outward looking, the inward or subtle, and the superconscient causal Purusha. That is the causal Purusha. It is the, yesterday we spoke about it, Jagrat, Swapna and Susupti. Or if you want to put it in another terminology which has been used in the Vedas, so Jagrat is Virat, and the causal is Hiranya Garbha, and the, not the causal, but the dream is Hiranya Garbha or Tejas, that is also it is called. And the Pragya is that state of Susupti. So either which way, these are the three states of Brahman. So Om Tat Sat, that's the advice Gita gives. Triple Brahman. Sat is that with which we connect as the manifest. Tat is that which is beyond being and non-being, that we cannot connect. And Om is all containing all the three. So why does Gita advise us to make offering with this remembrance of Om Tat Sat? So Om Tat Sat, it is not referring to any offering. It describes what are the different kinds of offering, different dhan, different yagyas, but I am not going into that detail. But essentially, practical implication. If I give anything to anyone, and I do it with the idea, I, Alok Pandey, gave this gift to Mr. So-and-so. 20 years also later I'll remember. See, that person did not even acknowledge. Forget about giving back something. And same way, if somebody gives a gift to Alok Pandey feels obliged to do a favor. That's how the mafia gang started. Read Godfather. Our own Godfather was Duryodhana. First he gave Angadesh to Karna, and Karna said, I am all my life obliged to you. That was the mistake. He should have said, whatever you may give, I am receiving it. But to me, dharma is important. Then there would have been a different story altogether. He was obliged to Duryodhana rather than to dharma. Dharma brought him this because he was worthy. It made Duryodhana an instrument. And he could have turned that Angadesh into a beautiful place, but a place of dharma. But he made the mistake, ignorance. Duryodhan honored me. So next time when we give to somebody, we should give to the divine within the person. And not with the egoism of the giver. I have given. Then you will also be very easy, clean slate, forgotten. Kya diya tha? Kya mila tha, wo bhi bhul jaoge. So nice, you don't have to carry the burden. Oh, this person has given me, I have to give back. Receive as things coming from the divine. Not to your outer personality, which is an instrument or a symbol, but to the divine within. When somebody appreciates you, know that it is something of the divine which is somehow is shining through the form somewhere, which someone has picked up. मेरी प्रशंसा नहीं हो रही है, ये उसकी है, जो सारे संसार में चमक रहा है, सबके अंदर है. So when we live with that attitude, we don't have to tell the person, see, I know, but it's not me. All this is not required, that, I am Atman, you are Atman. No, we are a totality. But we must know that ultimate, this is the reality. So he says, give all things as Om Tat Sat. It is ultimately going to the divine. Om, the triple Brahman, Tat, the absolute, Sat, the supreme and universal existence in its principle. And that which is existence, the same is consciousness. How does existence become aware of itself? By consciousness. It is implicit inside existence. And consciousness, how does it exist? Because of existence it exists. It exists. So that's how the Ishvara and Shakti. The world constituted of consciousness shines in the spirit which is consciousness. It is the real light of the real divine. So that's how he is leading us step by step toward that Jagat Satyam Namithya. As the reflection of the sun is one in calm water, So as I said, you can't just say electricity is there, it's not in the brain. It's everywhere. It's a principle which is found. Light is a principle which is everywhere. If I don't know how to release it or see it, it's my problem, my bandwidth, my limitation. Light exists even in darkness. And if we had an infrared vision, we will be able to see things. That's how the military people use that infrared goggles. Uri must have seen the story. Night, this thing, you use this. Now it is a standard thing. There is a way you can penetrate darkness. There is no original darkness. It's only light concealed. How beautiful it is. So when it is said, Asado ma sadgamya, tamaso ma jyotirgamya, it can mean two things. One is from darkness to light. Other is tamaso ma jyotirgamya, the light that is hidden in the darkness. Bring it out. Light hidden in the caves of the Panis. The Vedas have a story. Asuras have hidden it in the subconscious. And Sarma, the goddess of intuition, Indra sends her, please tell them to give it back. She comes and tells them that Indra will be happy, he will make sure you have a safe passage. No, we will give you a lot of gifts. Why don't you come and stay with us? So Sarma goes back, and then we know that thunderbolt, and ultimately. So there is light hidden in the caves of darkness, even in subconscious, even in the inconscient there is light. There cannot be anything without that. There is no nothing, let me put it like that, where there is no consciousness. If there is no consciousness, there would be just, we can't even use the word nothing. So what about Yagnavalk when he says there is no consciousness? It's because you cannot define it with any mental terms. When it is said neti, 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 it means I cannot define. That's why one of the poet writes about Krishna's birth, no? Brahma anadi ananta agochar neti neti jako shruti gave. वेद कहते हैं नेति नेति, ब्रह्म अनादि, beginningless, anant, infinite, agochar, you cannot see it. So Brijraj, Aaj Janani ki. Now he has assumed a human form. What is this Leela? अंगुली पकड़ चलना सिखवावे. ये क्या मैं देख रहा हूं? जाके, what is that? Somebody would remember the bhajan. जाके पग डोलत नभ धरणी काल 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 कराल जासु भय खावे. जिसके भय से काल, टाइम runs, let me be on time. And he assumes the form of a baby, holds Mother Yashoda and says, teach me how to walk. That same mystery even assumes a name and form. That's why these Nirguni and all these Nirakar people, they cannot understand avatar. But in fact, this whole universe in a certain sense is nothing else but the infinite assuming name and form. But when there is a conscious assumption, it is avatar. So that's how there is nothing without consciousness as an existence. It means, however dark the appearance, light is there. However hopeless the state may be, Divine Mother is there. Consciousness is there. The Divine Himself is there. As the reflection of the sun is one in calm water, but multiple in restless water, real is the sun, real the reflection, the real light of the real sun. It is not a dream, but the light of a reality. The example, no? When we see the light of the sun falling upon water which is restless. So that's how we experience the divine in this world. We're scattered, restless, running here and there. Yet it is that power which is driving it. And if it is that power which is driving it, which has built name and form, you cannot say it is dream and unreality. Yet it is out of His stuff that it is all built. How can I realize Him? Simply by quietening my mind. Calm waters. I don't perceive Him because my buddhi is bahushakha naam. My will has become branched into many desires. So I am restless. So I cannot see that one light. And if I become quiet, a basic practice in all spiritual practices, to become quiet. then we'll begin to perceive something of that light. In this world also. Why? Because in this world also it is the same light, it is not some other light. Or as the light of the sun shines, filling the solar world with its force, as if running. Real is that light, the real luster of the real sun. That is not false shining, but a real luster of a reality. So, solar world is the Swarlok, not Swargalok. Swarlok of the Vedic rishis, where they were striving to rise. Swarlok is formed by the rays of the supramental sun. So now he is giving an example. So there were people, Buddha himself said, you have to go even beyond the gods, even beyond. So ultimately he rejected all forms, and at least the Hinayana Buddhism does that. So even the gods and goddesses are illusion. But where do they get their light and strength from? They too get their light and strength from this one source. So instead of negating, we can have the integral figure of divinity. She is Durga, she is Kali, she is Parvati, she is Uma, she is Gauri. And she is all else that we do not know. Rather than saying she is neither Gauri nor Kali, but some nameless consciousness force. So this is the difference. He is saying that solar luster, you will see things are moving. So whatever is moving is Prakriti. That was the logic used. It is moving, Jagatyam Jagat. And therefore it is not the real truth. Real truth is stable. Yes, but it is from that stable basis that it is coming into this world. Meaning thereby, Shiva and Kali are one. Kali is dancing on the breast of Shiva. He has given, existence has given itself for the dance of Kali. If he didn't give the base, it will tumble down and collapse. And Kali is Shiva, his force which has come out and is dancing into the world. And this unity, in several places we see that. There is a whole Mahabhagavat Puran which speaks about Krishna is Kali. There is a whole story about it. I will not go into that story. Where Shiva hears some secrets from Kali. Okay, anyways, I have touched it in short. So, there is a last secret which he says you won't understand. I said, why? He says you have to become a woman to understand it. No way you can understand it. Okay, I'll become a woman, but then you come as a man. I said, okay. So Shiva becomes Radha. And Kali becomes Krishna. See Kurukshetra? Do we see not Kali? When she says, he literally declares Kalosmi. Who are you? Say, I have come to destroy all these people. And what a destruction. So we are not afraid of destruction or death. We know it's a step towards new creation. Of course, we should not destroy meaninglessly like the asuras. That is what is the force of destruction diverted to egoistic purposes. And that is where the things go wrong. So he gives us different examples. Or as the flaming disk of the sun is not the sun itself, but this material form only manifests the sunness of the sun. Flaming disk is referring to the physical sun. So it is a symbol of the divine. So it is manifest the sunness of the sun to our knowledge, which is dependent on the material being, because we cannot see or behold or set our gaze on that which is beyond every limits. So he manifests himself through several symbols. Through the 12 Adityas, through the Kundal of Aditi, through the sun as a symbol, through moon as a symbol of Soma. So that's the entire way Vedic rishis express their knowledge. The sun is beyond that form. It is true. He is not negating it, that it will always be something which is beyond. Yet, real is the sun, real the form in the shape of the disk. It is the real light of the real sun, not illusory, but the real light of a reality. So again, there is the unity. All this, it is true. You can say that this sun is not God. True. We all know it. But you can equally say that God has manifesting himself through the sun, and therefore it's a bridge. It is by his light that it shines. So something of his light is there in that disk which we see every day. So we can look at it both ways. That's why Aurobindo says, in traditional Vedanta, we read too much about neti, neti, not this, not this. We should have also read it along and in conjunction with the other truth. Iti, iti. This too, this too, this too, this too. Similarly, now after giving these examples, similarly, here the world Brahman is the true light of the divine, not a dream. Don't call it a dream. It may be a bad dream, it may be a good dream. This dream is trying to say something. Nowadays we say, no, dream. Achha, what was the dream? So, a good psychologist will not say, hey, it's all a dream. He will interpret the dream. The dream is reflecting something inside you. Maybe you have overeaten. Maybe you had chicken mutton last night. And so you are restless in the dream. Maybe you have certain violent thoughts which are coming up like, or fears, which are coming up like snakes. You just can't say it's a dream unreal. It is, poor fellow, dream is trying to show you something which you don't want to see. You have anger and you see, you have taken a dagger and going to stab somebody. Oh, it's a dream. I'll never put it into reality. Today you won't. But maybe you will pierce a word's dagger through the heart of somebody, because the worst dagger is not this, but this tongue. So, you see. So dream is, we do ये सब माया, ये स्वप्न है, जाग जाओ. Okay, I want to understand what this dream is about. Dream has its own language. So this world is a dream, but what is it? It is that which shines even in the dream, sends images, builds up. So there is a whole system. Not a dream, nor illusory, nor a false shining. That's why we could not read the meaning of God in the world. It is the real light of the reality, not the divine in himself, but still he himself only. So, same thing. What is the dream? It is representing something within us. My anger, my fear is taking the form of snake. It may not take that form. Still that anger or fear will be there. Or I may see in the dream sometime, let's talk of beautiful things. Divine Mother, Aurobindo. Or we may see the symbol. We may suddenly see we are roaming in the ashram on a bicycle. So many things. That means we have been drawn into the atmosphere of the divine. One may say, but I have never been to the ashram. Ye ashram thodi, ye to dream hai. So we must understand that even here, ultimately it is that reality which is working. What for it is working, he will come a little later. He will reveal the whole secret he has given here. This is the supreme Maya. This is the greatness of the yoga of the mysterious Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna. So suddenly we see Aurobindo is giving a name. You know, in the Vedas, you have Shiva, you have Vishnu. Chandogya Upanishad speaks about Krishna, but not as the Lord of Yoga. But it speaks of Dhritarashtra, of Krishna, who had realized he was one of those who were Brahmagyanis. But Yogeshwar Sri Krishna. So there should be one Upanishad dedicated to Sri Krishna, Yogeshwar. Of course, we can say the age of Upanishads may have antedated the advent of Sri Krishna. So this is, Sri Krishna says that this is my Maya, you can't go beyond it. I can only take you beyond it. But if you want to slay the Maya, you can't. But you can slay Moha. This is his blissful Leela with his consciousness force. This is the inconceivable working of the Supreme. He is dancing. And there are two kinds of dance. One is the dance of Vrindavan with gopis and gopis and with Radha as his mate. Yes, if we have the heart open like a bhakta, giving ourselves to Krishna, we'll join in that dance. If we don't want to, still he will make us dance. Sabahi nachavat Ram Gusai. What times it will be? It will be the dance of Krishna and Kali. Kurukshetra. Of course, we may dance there as his conscious instrument. That's okay. He will make us dance. He will make Duryodhan dance, Karn dance, Bhishma dance, Drona dance, Bhim dance, Yudhishthir dance, Arjun dance, everybody for the great purpose. for the Leela. What that purpose is, he will reveal. He made everybody dance. Even Shakuni, who thought he is a mastermind, was actually dancing to the tune of Krishna. He was doing everything so that ultimately the entire Kuru clan is brought to the brink of destruction. People nowadays attribute, ki, oh, he deliberately. No, sir, he didn't deliberately want to do it. He was dancing to the tune of Krishna. He didn't realize that he is mastering, but actually his master is using his mind. And he does a gory act happens in that Kuru Sabha. There's a whole dream dialogue with Sri Aurobindo. He says that is the day when Draupadi was disrobed, that the destruction of Kuru clan was decided. So you see, he was dancing to the tune. He made Pandavas become ready for the ultimately, when they have the kingdom, they should be Dharmanist. So all that could go wrong in Yudhishthir's mind, all that could go wrong in Arjun's consciousness, all that Shri Krishna works upon. And when they are ready, then it takes 18 days to finish the whole war. So it is his Leela. All this is phenomenally true but false in reality. If you think that Arjun exists independently, Duryodhana exists independently, that is not true. All exist by his breath, all live by his force, all act because he exists. This is for the satisfaction of the mind. For the comprehensive knowledge, it must be said that there is nothing unreal in the real Brahman. So he's saying the comprehensive knowledge, the integral wisdom, that for that we must understand that all this is the divine. So there are two ways we can look at it. One is the mental way. We say it's okay, but this is not in reality. But he says it is the same reality which is expressing itself everywhere. Whatever thus manifests is the world bliss only. So the question comes now, that last bit Sri Aurobindo is revealing to us. We'll read it, we'll finish it. Om, the triple Brahman. Once again, Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. And that which is existence, the same is consciousness, and that which is consciousness, the same is bliss. If you worship the Divine Mother, automatically the Ishvara is there. If you worship the Ishvara, the Divine Mother is there. But Sri Aurobindo slightly, of course, he said, when someone asked that if we turn to you, we will receive from you, and if everything from you. If we turn to the Mother, we will receive everything from her, because both of you are one. He said the one part is correct, but the Mother proposition is more true. If you turn to the Mother, you will get everything. Why? Because the Mother is Sri Aurobindo's force. If you turn to Sri Aurobindo, you are taking a little longer route. I mean, of course, they are one. And at one place, the Mother has written, when in your heart and mind you make no difference between Sri Aurobindo's consciousness and mine, that means you are now ready for the supramental creation. That is the sign. No difference. This difference has been created by the human mind for a long, long time. Generally, we have subordinated Shakti. Even in Tantra. And Shakti's job is to release you to Shiva. But the two are always one. So he is reminding this what we must always remember. The same is bliss. As for that which appears as devoid of bliss. Now he is taking that question. Everywhere existence, consciousness, bliss. But bliss is something we know. Consciousness we can understand that behind. But what is this that we experience? As for that which appears as devoid of bliss, as suffering and weakness and ignorance, it is the deformation of that bliss, the play of bliss. What is the deformation of bliss? We'll see it. We'll see it in, there are children who play, like you are playing chess or any game. And there are youngsters, supposing you are playing with an opponent, your age, but he is after some time no more enjoying the play. Why? Because he is losing. You know what was his trick? Bandus. You just throw it off. Say, why did you do it? He is enjoying. Now he is having the laugh. Now his bliss is emerging. He has not lost. He has not won either. So there is this element in creation which plays the spoil sport. There is even a perversion which is a deformation of bliss. Why? Because as creation comes down and down and down into darkness, if in darkness you suddenly talk about Sachidanand, he will say, Sir, I am not ready. So we have the story in the Rig Veda when all the creation lapses into inconscient. The divine mother, Brahmajaya, the bride of Brahman, she has entered into darkness. So Brahman feels nistej. He calls the gods, he says, please do something. So Varuna sees she is below in the depths of the inconscient. Agni and Soma go. So Soma says, I will accompany throughout the journey. Who is Soma? Ananda. So if at every level Ananda expresses itself in some way or the other, and it is so evident, self-evident. Even, that's why you make a rule. Why you are making a rule? So that when you live by certain rules, you discipline yourself, you will have a greater joy. But then people get joy in breaking the rule. So you make a rule, people get joy in breaking the rule. At one level, when people are, there are people who take drugs, people who even take snake bite as a way to. Why? Because without joy, you can't live. Every creature seeks for joy. It plucks it from, Sri Aurobindo writes in Savitri, bliss is the secret stuff of things. Its roots are everywhere. It plucks its fruit from forbidden soil. What is forbidden soil? Pleasure. Why? It will hurt you. Sri Ramakrishna gave that example that camel, he takes that jar in his mouth which is thorny. It knows it is going to hurt, but it is so attracted. Because if you are not ready for something greater, something should be there to sustain you. They are steps of the journey. You can't tell straight away a person who doesn't even have the basic joy, you'll start with that. It starts with Annam Brahmeti, the first primal joy, expression of love, food. Child gets satisfaction. Hunger and thirst is appeased. For how long? It's a different matter. And in our Indian homes, we know it well. So as soon as somebody comes, nowadays we don't say Coca-Cola loge ji, thank God. Aap kya khaoge? It's something like, you want to offer something. Because food is when you devour something, eat something, you become one with that thing. And something of the consciousness of the giver. This union is an act of love. Just imagine. So at that level, this is the joy. But at this level, the law operates. Eater eating himself is eaten. This love is coming with an attachment. Today you feel happy. Tomorrow you will also be bound. But when you love truly, then you love, you give, you radiate. Why? Because you are receiving it from the infinite. So it has many practical implications. I am not entering into all the examples of real life which I encounter every day. So this is bliss is everywhere. And that's why they say, see, sexual act is the most, at a human level you can say, the degraded form of bliss. It's not bliss, certainly not. But those who do not know bliss, it sustains them. But if you want to arrive at bliss, brahmacharya. Strange. Why? Because when you conserve this little joys in which pleasures into which your energy is thrown away, then this energy gets preserved, rises. Then you encounter the felicity and the bliss. So this is the logic. So in Freudian psychology, they would say bliss is nothing, but it is an aggrandized sexual thing where you are joining with the divine which you have imagined. Someone once told me, I said, sir, excuse me, this is the other way around. You are reading Freudian psychology which throws the mud at the sun and says the sun is muddy. I said, the real psychology is Ashwath tree. Have you heard about it? He said, no, what is Ashwath tree? I said, from top-down view. So from that view, sexual act is degraded ananda, not the other way around. It's okay, it's not moral judgment, it's perfectly fine, it's not about right or wrong. There is no moral judgment on it. It's choosing the higher or the lower. So that's how Isha Upanishad says, Tena tyaktena bhunjita. By renouncing, enjoy. See, this is the whole way the yoga works. But this renunciation is inner, tyaga. It's not sannyas. Because sannyasi will keep on his mind roaming with the senses. So that's why Shri Krishna scolds Arjun. Don't do mithyachar. What is mithyachar? I want to be a non-violent person. I am becoming vegetarian from today. He says you will go there, but your mind will be full of the war. And as you will listen to all the things, you will feel enraged. But you think that you have taken... don't become like Gandhiji's ahimsa satyagrah, where you are, I am not raising the lathi, but I am getting angry, diverting it over somebody else. That's not the way. So that's how they were so brave, bold, courageous. That's the race which has become so virile in the true sense. Virya. See the terms. Virile and virya. What is virya? Veer comes from that. It is the highest spiritual energy. That if you hold within yourself, then you are a Veer. Veer is not afraid of death. Veer is not anybody who is fighting. Veer is Abhimanyu. He stares at death and scares death. All the warriors are scared, so all of them come together. So that's why it's called Virya. That is the true. So its whole gradation. That instead, which is Jiva, individual soul, is the all blissful divine in disguise. All of us contain that. Para Prakriti Jiva Bhuta, Mama Vansh. Descended to enjoy the self-luminous world Brahman. We were there, happy with the divine in oneness. We said, थोड़ा मजा नहीं आ रहा है, थोड़ा adventure होना चाहिए. So divine said, okay, I am also longing for adventure. What kind of adventure you want? Now the jiva is immortal. What will be real adventure? He said, I want to experience death. Say, but you can't die. But momentarily you can feel as if you are dying. I can do that. Extreme sport, the original bungee jumping. So we all did bungee jumping and with the divine with us. That's the good part. He said, okay, I'll also come with you. Let's play. Let's play bound. Let's play weak. Let's play death. Let's climb Mount Everest from the base. Then you will have, isn't it? There is a challenge when we take in life adventure, supreme adventure. That's why we came. Why do we become so sorrowful? Oh, world is so suffering. World is so, I don't know why this pessimistic philosophy. We should take it as a challenge. What else should the world be? A gymnasium. It should not be a play toy for the weakling. So Jiva said, I want to descend into the play. So you see how beautiful it is when we look at it like that. To enjoy the self-luminous world Brahman. From the transcendent, it has entered into the cosmos. This, which is the experience of suffering, is an experience made of bliss. The all blissful enjoys its bliss only. It took the challenge of suffering. Okay. And see, there are people who go through this. And they come out stronger, more capable of bliss. And even there, what sustains them through this suffering is that deep within the bliss of the jiva, which makes them, the soul, which makes them go through. Not that one should ask suffering, but we must understand why it is there. Who indeed, now he says something very interesting. Who indeed could dare enjoy that which is devoid of bliss? He only could dare it who is all blissful. I think we'll have to come to the next session because in the evening, because otherwise it's a little long and I don't want to leave it halfway through. But I'll read this line and then we'll stop because I don't want to rush through. It's so beautiful. Who indeed could dare enjoy that which is devoid of bliss? He only could dare it who is all blissful. Who can afford to become weak? He who is strong. When you play with your child, when a father teaches child wrestling, I learnt it from my dad. So, रोज व्यायाम करते थे. कुश्ती सीखेगा, हाँ सीखूंगा. What does a father do? He will never do all his strength. No, you make you patak dena. He knows you will break. So he'll play as if he is weak. Same way I taught cricket to my son. I has become a cricket social media expert. But how? I'll not give a fast ball and make, see how I can bowl and how I can bat. You do it gently. But you know that as you grow up, I'll also increase whatever I am doing. So he has become all weak. But always the all blissful, the all consciousness, all force is always there. We'll close with a little story. The story is when once Vishnu, because there are 6 of his devotees or 4 devotees who are from the subconscious, Patal Lok, and they really love him, they have bhakti. And gods are bound by bhakti. So one day Vishnu decides, I am going. Lakshmi ji says, please, I know you keep doing it, but understand, no, you. He said, no. Now my bhakta is there, I cannot help it. So poor Lakshmi ji has no choice, she feels sorrowful. And he goes, and now he is enjoying. All of them are taking care of him. And such a care. So Lakshmi ji asks Shiva, do something. He has gone away. He is not ready to come back. He has forgotten about me. He doesn't even send a message. So Shiva says, okay, I know the way. He won't listen like this. So he says, okay. So Shiva comes as, what is that avatar I am forgetting? Rishabh avatar. He comes and challenges him. So now Vishnu is enjoying all that. He says, what is this fellow? He says, go away from here. He says, no, I'll disturb. All of them I am going to take away. So he comes, starts fighting. So they start fighting. As Shiva increases his capacity, Vishnu also increases his capacity. Why? Because he is Vishnu. Now when he faces the challenge, there comes a time finally that Shiva is about to use his Trishul. And Vishnu brings out his chakra. And he says, you don't know who I am. He says, that's what I wanted to tell you. Lakshmi ji told you, everybody told you, you are not listening only. I came to tell you, sir, please, your abode, the world needs you. Then he says, then Shivji explains to them, don't create this imbalance in the world. He is meant for all. Don't tie him down to your lok. So that's how the challenges come. Who is the challenger? The divine. He assumes the mask of terror and darkness and death, so that one day we can smile at him and say, Bhagwan, ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहा आपके ऊपर. You are blissful. Don't wear this terrifying mask. I am not afraid, because I know your secret. And then you will have the delight. What is the delight? Of meeting him in even behind that mask. When 2 people are together, there is joy. Then one goes away. One day, suddenly, the person comes. What has happened to that joy? Suddenly, there is a spurt of joy, which you are not experiencing when they were together. That's why all ladies know it. At least earlier, this was the way. Maike chale jao thode din. So, when you come back, there is a joy. Now, imagine when you don't even know that the person is coming back, and suddenly you meet on the roads of time, strange encounters, and you feel a deep affinity. Isn't that a tremendous joy? Would it be possible if the divine does not conceal himself? So this world is for bliss, ananda, artha. Only some pessimists have made it as a vanity, a dream of worst kind, because that's what that's why yoga is meant for those with that Shatra Tej and Brahma Tej both. It's not enough just to be a knower, but also, we read yesterday the story where King Pravahana says, this highest knowledge is not for the Brahmin alone. You must have the Kshatriya element in you, the warrior spirit. Then one enjoys the world play. Namaste.
Why is it these verses are not numbered? It's a continuous reading.
I can read till be 2 o'clock because I don't want to stop. हाँ.
1, 2 किताब में नहीं दिया है.
नहीं अब वो तो they have not. Yeah, I get.
All of the
So he has given passages like that, but he didn't give the number. Just imagine the Lord is writing and it's pouring and pouring. So, but itna kafi hai ki he didn't even, this book, he never published.
No?
It was found. Sri Aurobindo went way beyond.
Alright.
It was found. He is like, Sanskrit mein likh diya, enjoy. This is all his entire integral yoga is there in its essence. He gives us almost till the last secret, except he doesn't use the word transformation. So, many such writings of Sri Aurobindo, who knows what he wrote, he didn't write many things. What he didn't write, this manifest, unmanifest, when this beautiful thing with which maybe we can stop. Nirodha asked him, "Sir, you have written so much. You must be having more knowledge." He said, "What I have written is only 10%. Sir, then why don't you write the rest?" He says, "First you get ready for this." That's why that example of Sri Krishna, that one who is in the ocean, the Vedas is of that much value as it can quench your thirst in a jar of water. So he is infinity, embodied infinity, conscious infinity, and he has come to remind us that we too are infinity. We are not aware of it, and he has given us a yoga through which we too can regain that infinity and live this world consciously and knowing it as his Leela, do what he impels us to do, and return back to her heart and come back into her garden and workplace. Namaste.